Maxa, Corey Sandin, and this week's special expert guest for fishing information, new techniques to catch more fish, and the most current scoop on what's happening in the water. Let's Talk Hookup is sponsored in part by Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup, and Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. Get ready for the fastest 2 hours on radio with the hosts of Let's Talk Hookup, Pete Gray, Rock God Rick Maxa, and Corey Sandin.
Good morning, anglers, and welcome to Let's Talk Hookup. I'm Pete Gray with Rock God Rick Maxa. We're in the world headquarters of Let's Talk Hookup, as you can see on our Facebook and YouTube Live, right next to the San Diego landings. Pretty busy this morning in Point Loma. We have a couple of great guests. They pretty much insure everybody over there that you're looking at. It's Dawson and Associates Insurance Service. Kristy and Bob are here, going to be talking travel insurance, boat insurance, and just fishing in general. Right. So you stay tuned. This is Southern California's sport fishing voice. It's Let's Talk Hookup on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network. Inside information is everything when it comes to catching fish in Southern California. You need a code group to connect with what's happening on the water. FishDope.com is your code group. Inside information available at your fingertips 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. FishDope.com really does help you catch more fish and burn less fuel. FishDope.com is the only fish finding service with a spotter plane, along with a crew of top anglers on the water almost every day that report actual locations and catches. They become your code group. You get daily catch reports from Point Conception to San Quintin, 365 days a year. FishDope.com has online planning tools, temperature and chlorophyll charts, hot bite icons, and more. Take it from me, if you don't have FishDope.com, you're not part of the in-the-know crowd. Membership is affordable and good for an entire year. Plus, use the special code and save $30 on a new FishDope.com membership. Check it out today. FishDope.com. Catch more fish, burn less fuel.
Captain Jamie Tennis from Season Sport Fishing here. For the past few seasons, a dart-style metal jig has come into play in a big way for tuna offshore or even rockfish down deep. AFCO's crossbreed jig has quickly become the go-to for many since it came onto the market. AFCO's crossbreed jig is good to go right out of the package with a 4X treble hook, heavy-duty split rings, West Coast colors, and sizes 60 gram to 120 gram. Pick one up today at your local tackle store or learn more on AFCO.com.
The Make It Ford Summer Sales Event is on. Visit your San Diego County Ford dealers now and make it your best summer yet. Amazing offers and great selection of the best-selling trucks in America for 47 years. Ford F-Series, featuring gas, hybrid, or all-electric. These are deals you've been waiting for. So don't wait. Make it Ford. Make it yours. Make it now. Only at your San Diego County Ford dealers. They'll be glad to hook you up.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. You can always tell it's going to be a busy show when we have a couple of great friends like Bob and Kristy on, and the texts are rolling in like well before the show starts. Yeah, you can always tell when a busy one's going to be. And this is certainly going to be a fun show today.
Yeah, it is, and you can see busy landing there in the background of our YouTube and Facebook shot there. But we'll come back in the studio here as the Pacific Dawn backs into their slip, as you can see right there on the camera. But we'll go back in the studio here and welcome Kristy and Bob. Good morning.
Hi, guys.
Good morning.
Great to have you guys. And boy, you've been busy, Kristy.
It hasn't been a busy
Yeah. Lots of stuff going on. Of course, summer's travel season.
Absolutely.
And summer's fishing season. So we were talking about Pacific Dawn backing in. We have the Tomahawk, the Islander. You insure all the boats, right? Pretty much.
Not all of them, but I'd like to.
Almost
so if you're
all.
listening.
Yeah. Condors there. It's like there's a lot. Red roosters in the background. You can see in the background there. If there's somebody missing, they shouldn't be, because you guys pretty much know how to find the best rates and the best coverage for everybody, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Marine insurance, Bob, has changed quite a bit in the past few years, right?
Oh, tremendously.
Yeah. So why?
Well, a lot of the companies pulled out, and it wasn't necessarily because of Southern California. We have great weather here, but there's a lot of boats in Florida, and a lot of companies had insured boats in Florida. I don't know how they're doing it now, but most of the big carriers said, no, we're not making
Florida.
Any money.
Because of the hurricanes down there?
Yeah, mostly weather related there. Here, people run into each other, or boat cracks or
things like that,
sinks or whatever.
Yeah, but one of the issues with insurance companies here with older boats, which a lot of the fleet are older, solid, the way they used to make them kind of boats, is age, right?
Yes, absolutely. Age is certainly a factor when it comes to insuring vessels. And, like Bob said, Florida has taken some hits over the years, which has certainly made the carriers take a look at their book of business and say, okay, where do we want to take our risks and what's performing better? And unfortunately, even if you're not in necessarily that particular area, it still crosses over, because they'll look at a whole book of business, such as overnight vessels or day use boats, or whatever the case is, and they'll say, we're going to cut our losses here so that our portfolio looks better and we're performing better, because it's a business, right? Insurance is a business.
Is a business. So, yeah. A challenging business at that.
Absolutely.
But and then of course rates on trailer boats like my boat, Rick's boat, a lot of other boats, they've gone way up too, right?
Yeah, I think you're seeing that across the board in insurance, from personal lines to business insurance, commercial lines. Rates are going up, consistent with pretty much everything else out there right now is going up. So
yeah, everything. So, but one thing that's held steady is the travel insurance. It's like the best bargain in town. What's that all about?
It really is. So a few years back, we took a couple of our carriers took small increases, and I was like, kind of bracing myself, like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But since then, they've stayed steady, which is awesome. I think it was during the big COVID period that we took a small increase, but it was very minimal, and so. Travel insurance rates have been exceptionally low and a great bargain for what you're getting as far as coverage.
Like your base coverage for your annual policy is $280
in California, and that gives you $3,000 worth of cancellation or interruption coverage per year. It gives you $100,000 in emergency transportation, and $20,000 in emergency medical, and $45,000 in rental car damage and theft coverage, and then some other ancillary benefits that it's a no-brainer.
That's less
than $1 a day.
I was gonna say, it's less than what it costs to rent the car for one day when you go somewhere. You're covered for the year.
Crazy. It's pretty nuts. And you see a lot of times the policies, when you go buy an airline ticket, they want $70-$80 to insure your ticket. You don't need to do that anymore if you buy the annual policy, right?
Correct. Yeah, because your airline tickets can be covered under that. Any travel where your destination is 100 miles or more from home on an annual plan, or like, for instance, like you're talking about on the fishing boats, or even a road trip if you're going up north, to go fishing on a lake or something. If it's 100 miles away from your home, it's covered. So
wow,
yeah, great deal.
That's pretty nice. So who should have travel insurance, Bob?
Anybody that travels, you get a 1-year policy.
You go anywhere, right?
Yeah, worldwide.
Whether it be on a boat here or on an airplane or a car trip, right?
Yeah. The rule is your destination has to be 100 miles from home. I mean, if you drive out of your driveway and 3 blocks later you get in a car wreck and can't make your trip, your destination was still over 100 miles from home. That's what they consider, not your actual driving from home, which might be 3 blocks and an accident happens.
Yeah. So, okay, let's say you're going, for example, you live, say, in LA, and you drive down to the San Diego landings, and you get on the Islander on a 1.5-day trip, and you go 100 miles offshore. You're covered.
Well, you're going to be covered because it's 100 miles from LA at least down here.
Yeah.
And then the boat, whatever it goes, and it could go many miles.
Yeah.
So your destination definitely is going to qualify for that.
Okay.
And that's as soon as you left your house. So I did have a client recently who had an incident where they were going on a trip, and they were unfortunately involved in a car accident, probably not more than 20 miles from their home, and that delayed their trip. Obviously, they couldn't get there because they missed their flight and whatnot. And so that was covered. even though they
Totally
weren't
covered.
yet 100 miles. It doesn't matter if your destination
That
is.
you were covered. I've had a personal experience. First time I've ever needed to use travel insurance, and just glad I had it. So when I had to cancel my Queen Charlotte Safaris trip in early August due to the changes here at Let's Talk Hookup, I was covered because it was a catastrophic event that I had to be here for my business, and they reimbursed me for my airline ticket.
Yeah.
Which is pretty amazing.
Which I was so
Right?
impressed with that one too, because it's not like you weren't sick, you didn't get into a car
No.
accident, but
I had to be here.
life kept you from going. You did not get to
Yeah.
go, but it wasn't sick, it wasn't a broken bone, it wasn't to this, but still you were covered because you had that insurance policy.
And I got to see firsthand that it really works. and the cool thing about it is you held my hand the whole way. And it's not just because it's me, it's you do that for everybody. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
yeah.
Anytime someone, I welcome people to send me
Yeah.
their information so that I can help them look through it, make sure it's all together and it goes through smoothly. I mean, we really, you could go direct to some of the carriers, but there's no reason to if you have an agent that's going to be advocating on your behalf.
Right.
And that's what we pride ourselves on. It's like we're willing to help you all the way through the process so that your claim gets approved, as long as it's, a coverable loss.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now Bob's gone fishing. That's what your email says anyway.
Yeah.
So I know you've been laid up a little bit with your back, but what kind of travel have you been doing in your retirement?
I try to make 3 to 4 bird hunts in Mexico a year and as many fishing trips as I can make.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I haven't had anything going in the last 8 weeks because of my back. I wouldn't have been able to fish anyway.
Yeah.
And that was just from moving plants on the patio, and I ended up with a pinched nerve and a crutch.
Oh, jeez. Don't be doing that.
Yeah, no, it's just an age thing,
Yeah, I hear it. But moving plants, I can relate because I've done that. I've hurt myself moving plants on the patio. It's like those things are heavy.
I just find it
gosh.
hard to believe because I watched him whoop ass on a big bluefin
Yeah.
doing it. Like, how can you pull that hard on a bluefin and then have the plant take you down?
Well,
You just never know.
Yeah. And one really important thing I'd like to bring up too to travelers is that if you have an incident where you're injured, maybe you tear a rotator cuff, which I did in December when I was bird hunting in Mexico, and you have to see urgent care or a doctor within 72 hours. If you wait past that, then they're like, hey, it couldn't have been so bad that you couldn't see us. It's not going to be covered.
So you can't just sit there and go, oh, I'll be fine, and then 2 weeks later go see the doctor. You have to go to a doctor and
within 72
within
hours,
72
and even
hours.
down in Mexico, they have urgent care centers,
just some sort of medical service.
Yeah,
There's gotta be a
just so
paper
you get
trail
a
and a
note
record.
from a doctor.
Well, that's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Because once
Yeah.
that 72 hours passes, they're like, hey, it couldn't have been too bad. You didn't turn it in 72 hours.
Right.
And, and they, like in Mexico, they would say, okay, where are you, what town are you in? We'll tell you where an urgent care center is or a doctor is.
You just
so
call
you
the
can go see
800
them.
number and
Yeah.
they tell you that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. So another listener told me a story about his wife had your travel insurance and was going with a friend to Europe. And the friend got hurt and they had to cancel the trip. She's covered too, right? Because your companion is.
Right. So the wording on the policy is you if you a traveling companion or a direct family member become ill or injured to the point where you need to seek medical care, and that either stops you from going or interrupts your trip, that is a covered loss.
That's a covered
Now,
loss.
she isn't covered unless she has a policy, right? But he
Correct.
is covered because he has the policy and he was traveling with her.
Yeah, correct. So it's whoever carries the policy
Right.
is the person that's covered. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
But so if the person that was hurt didn't have a policy, but you did and you were traveling with them, you're covered.
Right.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, and of course, like with anything, there's some stipulations on that. Depends on when you purchased your plan. If if that person had a pre-existing condition, all the same criteria applies. But yes, in that instance, she was covered.
I see that. So that's like the biggest thing, I think, especially in our world with fishing trips and long range fishing. And Bob, nobody knows that more. You so often are going with a buddy, like, oh, we share the stateroom and we fit, and all of a sudden the whole reason you were going because you and Tom were excited about your fishing trip, and Tom goes down, like, well, that's the reason I was going. And so now you can be completely covered. You're not out. The boat's not out. It's just it's a no loss for anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a biggie because, there's a lot of people could be grandfather, father, whoever, might want to take their grandson fishing or son fishing or whatever. And, they don't want to go unless that traveling companion's going because in most cases, it's the trips for the
camaraderie.
Yeah. Whether it's a best friend or, a family member, you want to have that coverage. And, I think the best part about travel insurance is the medevac benefits and the medical benefits, because everybody has deductibles of some sort on some plan.
Right.
Whether even if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you're still going to have a copay, $250 a day for a hospital. That'll be covered.
Right.
And then you have, even with that 3,000 annual plan, I don't know how they make money on it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. And, for years it was $275. And then I think, was it about 2 or 3 years ago, it went up $5?
Yeah.
$280 a year.
That's what
Big price hike.
Yeah.
I know they gave us notice ahead of time, and I'm like,
$5.
oh gosh.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that's
Yeah,
okay.
that's not so bad.
$5.
But here, and you bring up the most important part, the medical part. The medical evac is the main reason I personally have the insurance. But there's so many other benefits that go along with that. But if I'm on Christmas Island and I need to get off that island in the middle of Pacific, I can just dial that 1-800 number, and if it's an emergency situation, they'll fly me home.
Mm-hmm.
And how much would that flight cost? Like $50,000 or something like that.
I would imagine
right?
somewhere, maybe even more now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Crazy.
So that just in itself is worth the $280 that you might pay. And so there's different levels of the policy, right? Like so why don't you describe that?
Sure. So on the annual plans, there's basically 3 different types of policies. There's a deluxe, which is the one we've been talking about, $3,000 worth of coverage, $100,000 emergency transportation, $20,000 emergency medical, and then from there it jumps up.
So let's explain that just briefly.
Sure.
Okay. So if your trip cost you $5,000,
right,
and you have the deluxe, you're covered for $3,000 of that $5,000.
correct. So if you
Okay.
had to cancel your trip or it became interrupted, the maximum benefit that you would get back would be that $3,000 for the year.
But you still
During
have
that year.
all the
Other
evac
benefits.
and all the other benefits
Mhm,
that
correct.
all go along.
Yes.
With it. Yeah.
And then if you want to make sure that your entire investment in that trip is covered, then you would want to jump up to the executive annual plan. And that has 3 different levels. It's $5,000, $7,500, and $10,000. And it ranges from $510 and then to $635 to $805 in California as far as cost.
Uh-huh.
But the other great thing on that one is it increases your emergency medical benefits from $20,000 to $50,000,
Okay.
and it increases your emergency transportation from $100,000 to $250,000.
Yeah. Okay.
So a lot.
So if
more
I'm on
benefit.
Christmas Island, it might be $250,000 to get you out of there, right?
Now you're flying in a little more luxury.
Yeah, for sure. So, and the difference in cost is not that much.
Right. I mean, like I said, on that 3,000, it's $280 on the highest single person annual plan. On the executive level, where you have $10,000 in coverage, is $805 for the year. So
For $250,000 in benefit, flight benefits
right,
stuff
and
like that, yeah.
$10,000 in reimbursement coverage throughout the year. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's less than 10%. you
Yeah,
know,
for sure.
Even just for that one benefit.
Yeah,
Like
if
never
this is
mind the rest.
Just the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to mention all the other stuff that goes along with it,
Right.
that all of a sudden when something happens, you go, oh, I'm covered?
Exactly.
Wow.
And we'll talk more about it, but it's the little things that always blow me away that are covered on that. Like you mentioned rental car, but it's baggage and it's interruption and it's loss, and it's like, Bob was always like, well, don't forget about this. You had this happen too, and
Right.
your bag didn't show up. Well, there's coverage for that. It is the most no-brainer thing to have.
What's the rental car coverage again?
It's $45,000 of rental car theft or damage coverage. So that additional coverage that they always want you to buy at the
Right.
rental car counter, you can waive that and know that you have that coverage within the annual plan. And that alone, I mean, if you look at the cost of
Really?
that, typically that's, $25 or more per day. So if you rented a car for a week,
It
And
pays
you
for
get-
itself.
You're
Yeah.
in a car and you get in a wreck and it's $5,000 in damage on that wreck. You're covered.
correct. Yes.
And again,
I
like,
didn't even know.
yeah,
And
Chrissy,
I have covered.
well, Chrissy says that the best, and it's true. Like, go to Hawaii for a week. it's literally going to pay for your entire plan for the year that covers every trip you do is going to pay for itself just on that part, just on the rental car fee that you're going to save will pay for basically the entire plan.
Yeah.
So rad.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. Definitely want, what really the best bang for the buck is that $7,500 plan at $635 a year.
$635 a
year.
year.
$7,500 in trip reimbursement, cancellation, interruption, all that goes with it. Once you're into that executive plan, as Kristy mentioned, you've got $1 million in medevac and you get $50,000 in medical. So whether you have a Medicare plan or you have a regular health insurance, maybe through your company, you're going to have deductibles, and this is going to cover those deductibles for you.
Yeah. And I might add, too, that being personally involved in making a claim, it was a piece of cake. I mean, I went online, I filled out the forms, I gave them everything that they needed as far as forms, and they communicate with you, it's processing this, you're approved, you're covered, checks in the mail.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
It
never works like that.
No, it doesn't with an insurance company, right?
It doesn't work like that.
It just doesn't work like that. But as you can hear, we have a great show for you today. Bob and Kristy are anglers as well as people that are valuable to have in our hip pocket, for sure.
It's one of my favorite shows of the year because I remember the first time Bob came on.
Their phones are packed.
Exactly. Like I mean, I've known Bob forever from working at the landing, and they've always taken the best care of us at the landing with the boats and everything. But when Bob came on the show the first time, I was like, what the heck are we going to do for 2 hours talking about insurance? Every year, it has become one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
We have a ton of texts lined up. Every single phone line is already full. Like, this applies to what we all do. And it's going to be a great show. And we're going to have a lot of fun over the next 2 hours talking with you, talking with Bob and Kristy. And if you want to join us this morning, man, we want to hear from you. Give us a call at 213-432-1090. Again, 213-432-1090 is how you get your direct line into Kristy and Bob this morning from Dawson Insurance. Or you can send us a text. The text the show, again, is becoming so popular here on Let's Talk Hookup. And the only way to send in your text messages is through the Let's Talk Hookup app. If you don't have it already, it's a must-have. It's a free download. You don't get any spam. You don't get any BS. All you get is a great way to listen to Let's Talk Hookup. You can hear all the archive shows. You can get great information, upcoming guests, and it's the only way to text in your questions. And when you do, make sure that you include your contact info with your text, just a name and a phone number, because if you win the big prize at the end of the show, we want to make sure to get it to you. And not only are we going to be having lots of fun talking with Bob and Kristy about the insurance services today, we are also giving away such a killer prize. One lucky caller or texter, and we're going to decide that with the coin flip, as we always do at the end of the show, is going to win a full-day trip on board the Liberty at a Fisherman's Landing. So you're going to get to fish with Captain Taro or Nebel on a full-day trip, whether they go to the Coronado Islands, whether they're going offshore for bluefin, whatever it is, full-day free trip coming your way at the end of today's show. How cool is that?
And I might add, too, I keep forgetting this. This is our 33rd anniversary on the air. We started this show
Congratulations, buddy.
33 years ago today. I think it was the 9th, but what's today? The 8th, so something like that. I think the actual date is the 9th, which is tomorrow, but it fell on a Sunday, so we're counting it close to 33 years. So 33 years
There's
on
a
the
handful
air,
of leap years
on
in
the
there
air
somewhere.
today. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty amazing. We're still
33.
here. 33, yeah. So, and you've been with us for
A lot of
I'm
them.
going to say 30. I'm going to say 30 of
Yeah, I
them,
think
right?
something like
At
that,
least 30 of them,
Yeah.
right? Either behind the scenes on answering the phones.
Sure.
So how old are you now? You're
42 now.
42, and you started when you were 13.
13, yeah.
So yeah,
Wow.
Crazy.
like that's 31 years.
I always say it's been long. It's been longer than I've done Let's Talk Hookup a lot longer than I haven't done it.
Yeah.
We've been having a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on 30.
Yeah,
That's
congratulations to you.
That's an amazing feat,
Yeah.
and it's been so cool. And what's so cool about Let's Talk Hookup is it has stayed consistently on point all the time.
Yeah.
There's no better source for information, getting to hear from the boats as it happens and getting the crazy good info. I mean, where else do you get information on travel insurance like this? Things that that we all need. It's from Let's Talk Hookup.
Yeah.
And 33 years is an amazing milestone.
And thanks to great sponsors like Dawson Insurance and all the people that you see on the screen there that come up. We're grateful for them because we wouldn't be here without that. And behind the scenes people like Adam and JP and all the people that help us out in the background there. That's why we're here.
No doubt about it.
Corey Sandin, our backup co-host, Tommy P and Dave and everybody help us at the shows and stuff like that.
And I get to see it from both sides. I feel like, on the tackle store side of things, when I got to take my hat off over there, like Let's Talk Hookup is our most successful platform for getting information to our customers. Like obviously I'm biased because I'm here and behind the microphone, but
Sure.
like when I take that hat off, like it's our most successful advertising platform. We spend our money in plenty of places, but when we talk about a $100 off deal on a reel, we see the guys in the store that day. It's a very special
It actually
thing.
works.
It's the best.
Yeah, unlike a lot of advertising.
It's where
it actually works.
It's where we choose to spend our money, and it has nothing to do with
I'm grateful for that too, and that's because of our listeners respond. And so I don't know about another 33 years, Bob. I mean, but I mean, several years more.
You're damn
We'll
right.
just say that,
yeah,
right?
No doubt about it. Well, we're going to be having a great show again. Congratulations, Pete, on 33 years. And if you want to get through and join us, 213-432-1090 or roll those texts in on the Let's Talk Hookup app. And when we come back, we're going to be taking your phone calls, reading those texts. You're listening to Let's Talk Hookup on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Hey, this is Rosie with Cedros Sport Fishing. We have always been the leader with all-inclusive fishing trips to Cedros Island. We now have 2 lodges to choose from and both sit on the cliff's edge with relaxing ocean views and gorgeous morning sunrises. With direct flights departing to the CBX in San Diego, we are committed to providing first-class service to our guests and an unforgettable fishing experience. Come check out the yellowtail and calico bass capital in the world. Nobody does it better than Cedros Sport Fishing. Call me at 619-772-7570 or check us out at cedrosportfishing.com. Book soon. Trips are going fast.
All of us at the American Angler family want to express appreciation to our regular passengers that fish with us year after year and to the new anglers that came out this last season. We realize how precious your vacation time is, and we are truly grateful that you have chosen to spend this time with us. It's important that your experience is memorable from the moment you call the office to the time you step off the boat. Hi, I'm Lori. Call me at the office, 619-223-5414, or check us out at AmericanAnglerSportFishing.com. Come fishing with the American Angler family and make a memory.
Many years ago, Baja pioneer Bob Van Wormer found the area he called the Great Fish Trap in the East Cape of southern Baja and built what is now regarded as the premier East Cape resorts of Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol. Today, following in their father's footsteps, Bob's sons, Bobby, Chucky, and Eddie, have taken Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol to new levels with the largest sport fishing fleet in Mexico, a luxurious spa, and top-of-the-line resort amenities. Van Wormer Resorts have become a destination for travelers worldwide. But for us, Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol are just a short 2-hour flight away. No other tropical fishing destination offers the experience and value that you'll find at Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol. Now you can plan your Baja fishing vacation quick and easy by visiting VanWormerResorts.com. And when you're ready to book, it's quick and easy. Or simply call 877-777-TUNA for more information. Van Wormer Resorts, the East Cape's finest.
The name that stands out among anglers is Fisherman's Landing, your top choice in local and long-range fishing. Hi, this is Doug Kern. Our hardworking crew will make sure your fishing experience is one to remember. We offer the finest open party trips from 1 to 3 days, the best charter boats available, and of course, our world-renowned long-range fleet is second to none. Fisherman's Landing is a full-service operation offering great half-day trips on the Dolphin and full-day open party trips on the spacious and comfortable Liberty. Since we introduced the full-day trips at Fisherman's Landing, the 85-foot Liberty has become a favorite among full-day operations with bunks for your comfort, huge bait capacity, and RSW fish holds to keep your catch fresh. Plus, Liberty has a big modern galley and 2 interior heads with showers. All our open party trips from half-day, full, or 1 to 3 day trips can easily be booked online at fishermanslanding.com or give us a call at 619-221-8500. I'll see you at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. Having a great time here this morning. I want to read the phone numbers again because that's what we do, but you're going to have to wait because every single phone line is full. But you're going to get your shot, and there's plenty of opportunity to do that. That's 213-432-1090.
Well, let's take one of those phone calls right now. Let's open it up for somebody.
That sounds good to me. How about we start over in Dallas, Texas, talking to John. We got John on the phone this morning. Good morning, John.
Morning, guys. Happy anniversary.
Thanks,
buddy.
I remember having Marty Milner's phone number, and I think it was Rick asking me how I got it. But I've been a listener for about 30 years.
Very good.
That's cool, John.
My question to Bob is, I live in Dallas, and I do like 4 trips a year in San Diego, so I'm covered from Dallas to San Diego.
Yeah, because your destination is going to be 100 miles from home for sure. Flying from Dallas to San Diego, because Kristy lives in Weatherford. It's not too far from Dallas.
Hi, neighbor.
Yeah, and so your plane flight will be covered. Your boat trip will be covered. If you get a rental car, you'll be covered there.
Right. So how it works is it's anything that's non-refundable. So anything you don't receive a credit or a refund for under a covered loss is covered under the policy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's why you want to get that. It's nice, especially if you make several trips a year like I do. Most of the trips I make are under 7,500, but I get a 7,500 plan, because if I have a $3,000 trip that I have to cancel, I've still got 4,500 left for the rest of the year. So
absolutely. Plus the additional benefits too of the
the most expensive ones, the medevacs and the medical. And, yeah.
Right. And on your annual plan, you can have up to 2 emergency medical transports during a policy term. So it's not just like a one and done.
Yeah.
Even if you had an emergency
up to the covered amount.
The covered amount, right?
Yeah.
So if it costs you $50,000 to get emergency medical transport one time, you still have, if you have the deluxe plan, you still have another $50,000. If you had the executive, you still have another $200,000.
And the executive plan kicks in at what level?
$5,000
At
in
$5,000.
cancellation coverage.
And that's how much a year?
In California, it's $510. And I think our caller is John. Is that right?
Yep.
John, in Texas, us Texas residents do not get coverage for rental car damage and theft.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
There's a few states that exclude that coverage. Why? I don't know. I'm going to assume it's hail. And
but California, Californians would be covered in
correct.
Texas.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It goes
Okay.
by your state of residence.
I see.
So there are some
I
differences
thought it
from
was like
state
going to be
state.
more expensive than California, right? But it's not. Huh?
No, actually, well, the plan is, because there are some missing coverages. Some of the plans are a little less costly in like Texas or Washington, a few states.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Thanks, Susan.
I will say California is right there among
It's
most of the states.
Yeah.
So it's not
pretty
significant.
common. All right. Hey, nice to hear from you, John. Thanks a lot for the call.
All right. Well, I had a great text come through. It says, good morning, guys. My wife and I have had policies with Bob and Kristy for years. My question has to do with travel credits versus return of our payment. If we have to cancel our trip to Europe or anywhere for that matter due to illness, and we really can't or don't want to rebook the airline or cruise, but they offer us a credit, what will the travel policy reimburse us for? Can we get money back if credit option is available? That's from Ed and Val.
It's a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. So thank you for being a longtime customer. And anyhow, as far as your question, if there's an option for a credit or just to cancel, recently this came up. Someone had a trip to Europe. They had to cancel for a covered reason. They had the option to take a credit or to cancel and get a refund of $50.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So they took the cancel
Of
and get the
course.
refund of $50 because they had the travel insurance, and then
gotcha.
the travel insurance would kick in. However, had they taken the credit and not used it, they could not have claimed for that portion because there was a credit on file. And they're
So
not
in other words, if they took the credit,
right,
and then they ended up never using the credit and it expires, you're out.
Yeah.
So you're better off taking the $50 of the thousands of dollars or whatever it costs, and then getting reimbursed.
Sure.
Or think of the extraneous. Hey, yes, we take our credit from the airline company, but there was hotels that they booked that were different. There was rental cars that they booked that were different. There was all of those wouldn't have been covered from the airline company, but the rest, because they have the travel insurance, everything is.
Right. And some other, venues will still give you a credit, but if you don't plan on going back there next year, then why would you take it? You don't need to take that credit. But in those certain circumstances, especially those, it's always good to give us a call. You can call myself or Heather at the office, and we'll be happy to advise you and then hold your hand the whole way through to make sure you get the maximum refund possible.
One thing I'll caution our listeners on taking the credit versus the full cancellation is look at the date. and see if you can use that credit within the time period, because they generally, I'll give you a classic example of that airline ticket that I referred to that I got reimbursement from. It was Air Canada. I booked the ticket in like December, but I had to use it, but to use in August, but I had to use it prior to December of this year to enable to get the credit. Otherwise, I would have got a full credit. So in other words, it was the same kind of thing. It was a $700 ticket. They offered me a $50 refund or a full credit. And so I took the $50 refund and then got the rest from the travel insurance. So, and that's pretty common. So again, you think, well, I'll go on that trip again, but watch the date of when generally speaking, it's on the date that you booked it that you can take that travel.
That's a good call. I would have never thought that.
Yeah.
And if you got to try and use it by the end of that year, the season is darn near over by that point. God, that's crazy.
Yeah, because I'll go back to Queen Charlotte Safaris next year. Oh yeah, I'll just use it next year, and then you read the fine print. It's like, nah, it's going to expire in December. So,
but you chose to,
so
and
take
hypothetically,
the
you chose to take that. You're out.
Yeah, right. For sure.
Good call.
All right, very good. Hey, I have a great text here too, and it's excuse me, put my glasses on, from Kurt in Vista, and Kurt writes he travels to Baja a lot. And he says, "Morning, everyone. My question is for Bob and Kristy. Is this travel, if I travel to Baja for 3 months at a time, twice a year, would this insurance benefit Vagabond Camping cover me?"
Great question. So the annual plans that we've been talking about, and a lot of the the annual plan specifically, the maximum length of your trip can be no more than 45 days for the coverage to be in effect. If you're going to go on a trip longer than 45 or more than 45 days, then I recommend you give our office I always recommend you give our office a call so we can make sure that the plan you're getting is the right coverage for you. Right. But there are plans available for long-term travel, especially if you're just looking for medical transportation and medical expense coverage.
Okay, but 45 days. So he wouldn't be covered he'd be covered for 45 days, but not 3 months.
Correct.
So would he be covered for the first 45 days? No. Because the trip
is planned for longer. Correct. Because they're going to ask you for your itinerary as far as when you're going into that country, and coming back. So
yeah, gotcha. All right. Hey, we have special guests on the line here this morning, and we have Arnie from CCA California on the line. Good morning, Arnie.
What's up, Arnie?
Hi, Arnie.
Good morning, Pete, Ricky.
Hey, Arnie.
Hey, Kristy. Hey, Bob. Yeah. Hey, Kristy, thanks for coming down to Rod and Reel and doing the seminar for us on Thursday. That was really good. Everybody enjoyed it.
That's right. You at the San Diego Rod and Reel Club on Thursday.
That's a great group. So anybody in the San Diego area, if you have not been to a San Diego Rod and Reel Club meeting, if you go just to buy their raffle tickets and get their free prizes alone. Thank you so much for having me, Arnie. That was such a great time.
Did you win
what
anything?
A great group. I did. I actually won some baked goods, and I won the 50-50 raffle. But I gave it back to the kids because they've got, Arnie will tell you, but they've got such a great program over there that they, take kids fishing for free. And I think that's a great cause and definitely want to help out with that.
That's so cool.
That's cool.
So much, Kristy.
All right.
Yeah. Well, Monday was the end of the CCA California Star Tournament.
Yeah.
And all the entries have been verified and tallied. Tomorrow, September 9th at 3 p.m., go to CCA California on YouTube to find out who the winners are going to be. Okay, they will announce them tomorrow. I'll just give you a few statistics of Star for California this last year. There were 762 registered anglers, 726 adults, 36 youth, $74,000 in grand prizes, $3,400 in weekly prizes, $5,400 in youth prizes. Now, we were using the Fishing Chaos app to tally all the entries. We had a total of 1,361 entries. 785 were saltwater bass, 120 in halibut, 100 tuna, 56 white sea bass, and 126 yellowtail. So thank you, everyone who participated in Star this year and made it a big success. And I tell you what, if you didn't know, the boat that's the grand prize has been at Dana Landing for a few months here. And
So tomorrow somebody's going to drive away with it, right?
So cool.
Yes, sir.
So again,
Yeah.
it's going to be
Again,
it's going to be on the CCA California YouTube live stream tomorrow. What time?
3 p.m.
3 p.m.
Okay, and you just go to the CCA California.org website and you can link right into it, right? Or just go to YouTube and look for CCA California.
I think it's on YouTube.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Arnie. Nice to hear from
Great
you.
job, Arnie.
Appreciate that. Hey, nice to hear from you. And good luck to all the winners of the CCA California very first star tournament.
And how cool to see the first annual have so much participation.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's just the start of many more to come. But,
Yeah,
for
sure.
the first one, that's great. A lot of people trying and a lot of fish getting entered in there.
Yeah, and hopefully they allow us to fish in Mexico next year.
Yeah,
for sure. So San Diegans can participate.
Yeah.
Message to the people out there that
Yeah,
are
exactly.
making those rules. Anyway, Yusuf, the Anglers Retailers, the Anglers Realtor is on the line. Good morning, Yusuf.
What's up, Yusuf?
Good morning, guys. How are we?
Doing-
Congratulations on the anniversary.
Thanks very much. Where you been?
I had a spine fusion.
Oh,
so
geez.
I've been out and had some complications in the hospital for a while, but I'm working out again and did about a 3-mile walk this morning, and things are getting better.
Well, we've been missing you, buddy. Sorry to hear about the downtime, but sounds like you're on the mend and doing good.
Yes, sir. Going to be back at it soon, hopefully on the water in the next 2 months. So looking forward to it, that's for sure.
That away.
Good.
Hasn't slowed you down in the real estate game, though.
Absolutely not. Still going.
Nothing slows that guy down.
Closing deals, and I actually closed one the day of my surgery.
Oh my gosh. You're an animal.
That's funny.
Okay, well, a fish report here for Fish Dope. Up in San Clemente area, we're still seeing sea bass. They are up around the dunes to Pyramid Cove area. Still pretty good fishing on the squid there. Offshore, this has been pretty good fishing northwest side of San Clemente for the big bluefin. Some guys getting them on the kite during the day. You know, the big bluefin guys have been putting work in. The night fishing up there has also been really good for some of the party boats, getting some good scores on the bigger models. Tanner and Cortez still biting, smaller fish, 20 to 60 pounds. There are some bigger ones on the 100 fathom curve. They are fishing those at night and pulling a few over. Right now, the marlin fishing is legitimately the best we've seen in 20 years.
So
up
cool.
off the Avalon Bank, 277 slide area. It is just unbelievable. Guys are having their best scores, in 20 years at least. As well as the only real deal that's going on for in close bluefin is the island. The game over there is pretty good. Guys scoring 20 to 30 pound fish. Yesterday I got a video from a buddy that was out there, and they are just boiling everywhere. Didn't want to bite sardines, but the bigger party boats seem to be pulling them over pretty well. The seals are intolerable, trying to eat every tuna that's hooked.
They're horrible.
But they're still putting them over the side. And that's it for Fish Dope Report. You can get a hold of me at Cal Realty on Instagram and Facebook, or you can get my website at sportsmanrealty.com. And that's the Fish Dope Report for Sunday.
Man, great job, buddy. Appreciate it, Yusuf, very much. And man, like I said, Pete, you nailed it. That's an animal right there. A guy doesn't mess around, doesn't miss a beat, and gonna treat your home buying process exactly the same way as that. Well, great report, buddy. Glad to hear you're back on the mend, and thanks for doing such a great job compiling such killer info for us.
You got it, guys. Take care. Have a great day.
All right, I appreciate that. And if you want to save $30 off of a new membership to fishdope.com, use the code HOOKUP NOW. It's all lowercase, no space. HOOKUP NOW saves you $30 off of a new membership to Fish Dope. And their report again is sponsored by Norris Lithium Batteries. They are here in Southern California and designed specifically for marine use. Norris Lithium features prismatic cells for extreme durability, solid connections, longevity, and reliability. The Norris Guardian Advanced Battery Management System allows for you to monitor the health and the charging status by using an app on your phone. Norris also makes a complete line of kayak and electric reel batteries. Make an investment in the very best for your boat with Norris Lithium Check norrislithium.com or go see the Trolling Motor Doctor or Anglers Marine at both their Anaheim and Lakeside location for your Norris lithium batteries. And when we come back, we got a lot of Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. Lots of phone calls, lots of texts. You stay tuned. You're listening to Let's Talk Hookup on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Wait, a 40-pound white sea bass off an inflatable Hobie kayak? Tell me about that.
I'm Logan from Fastlane Kayaks on Mission Bay, and the whole story began when Ron Lane lent my parents some Hobie Mirage iTrex to put on their boat and take out to Catalina Island. That's when I borrowed the iTrek 11, threw it in my car, and drove down to Baja for a fishing and camping trip. Ended up landing a bucket list 40-pound white sea bass on the inflatable.
Dang, that sounds even better than our Mammoth trip, when we packed up the kayaks in the car, snowboarded all morning, then drove down to the lakes, launched the iTrex, and fished for trout all afternoon.
Honestly, the iTrek inflatables are the ultimate fishing platform. From trout in the Sierras, calicos at Catalina, and white sea bass in the Sea of Cortez, they can do it all.
And we've documented all these trips, so check out Fastlane Kayaks on Instagram to see more. And if you think you want a kayak, but you're on the fence, come down to our shop. We're right on Mission Bay, and we would be happy to throw one in the water and let you give it a try. So call Fastlane Kayaks to schedule a demo today.
Give your boat the love it deserves and install a custom Sea Deck kit from Blue Seas Fabrication. Blue Seas is the West Coast's only certified Sea Deck fabricator and installer. Sea Deck upgrades the look and feel of any boat, old or new. Sea Deck non-skid decking adds comfort, convenience, safety, and value. Let the experts from Blue Seas Fabrication custom fit your deck, bridge, and interiors with stylish, durable, stain-resistant, and easy-to-clean Sea Deck. Check BlueSeasFabrication.com and enhance your fishing experience.
Turner's Outdoorsman, Southern California's #1 shooting, hunting, and fishing tackle retailer since 1971, is right in your neighborhood. Now with stores throughout Southern, Central, and Northern California. No one does it better. Turner's Outdoorsman brings you the best prices and selection, plus a knowledgeable staff that will help make your day on the water or in the field more fun. Stop by your neighborhood Turner's Outdoorsman. To find the location nearest you, check the web at turners.com and sign up for special deals and more.
Whether you're fly fishing, bottom fishing, net fishing, or just sitting on the water thinking about fishing, remember, a good day in the water starts with everyone wearing a life jacket. Save the ones you love. A message from California State Parks Division of Boating and Waterways.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. What a great time we're having here this morning. Lots of fun. So much great info. If you want to get your shot at joining Bob and Kristy this morning, 213-432-1090 is the number, or as we always say, send us a text on that Let's Talk Hookup app.
Yeah, and if you're listening to us on 1090, glad you're with us there. If you're listening to us on the Let's Talk Hookup app, glad you're with us there. If you're listening to us on the Sports Grid Radio Network, we're thrilled to be a part of that too. And then, of course, yesterday we had a little issue with our feed on our website, but that's all fixed and all up. And archives for yesterday were a little delayed, but Adam's working on them right now. We should have them up here. Some technical changes happened this week with some of the stuff with the transfer to Sports Grid, but we're resolving all those issues and getting those updated. But those archives or podcasts from yesterday should be up either right now or very, very soon if you were looking for those. And then, of course, welcome to our video feed for our people on the YouTube and Facebook. That's gone crazy. People are watching. I don't know why they want to watch us, but they do. And we're glad you do. You know, it's great. But the nice thing is you can watch Kristy. You can see Kristy. You know, the rest of us, I don't know about that, but you can see Kristy. And the other cool thing is there's lots of action at the landing today. So I've been popping in and out on our outdoor camera there, showing some of the action at the Fisherman's Landing, H&M, and Point Loma Sport Fishing. A lot of boats coming in and out and stuff like that.
The Ocean Odyssey in the background, jockeying for position for the fuel dock.
Yeah.
We just saw the Pacific Dawn and the Fortune go by a minute ago. They had to slide out of the way so the Game Changer could slide in. There's a lot of action going on.
And then you can see Season Sport Fishing is at the dock today. Jamie didn't. That guy works hard. Season Sport Fishing. He's actually at the dock today. He's taking a well-deserved day off, Jamie. So if you're listening, good for you. Relax.
Hang out with the girls.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's find out what's biting.
You got it, man. It's time for our catch report today. That catch report is sponsored by our friends at Gamakatsu, which are not just all about hooks, even though they make the best. There's so much more than just hooks with Gamakatsu, including the new Gamakatsu fillet knives. Once you try one, you're going to want more. Their new tools are fantastic also, with a very including those Gamakatsu braid scissors that are made with a ceramic blade so they'll never rust. You can see your local dealer, or you can check gamakatsu.com for more information. Fantastic tools that those guys make. Hardware also. There's swivels, split rings, solid rings, the best underspins in the game. Gamakatsu really does it right.
Yeah, all the different things.
Yep.
Not just about hooks.
You got it, man.
Yeah.
Hey, with that, we're going to find out what's going on the water and talk to our man, Captain Brian Woolley's on the line. What up, Woolley?
Hey, everybody. How's it this morning?
Good morning.
Great. Good morning.
Good, man. Good. That's cool new stuff going on in there, man. High tech, Pete.
Yeah, we're trying, man. Old dog, new trips.
Next level.
Very cool. Well, hey, busy week for us up here along the beach locally and over there at Clemente for the Fury. This local scene still, we're really leaning on this bass fishing still. We've kind of shifted our efforts. It's kind of weird. We've been targeting a little bit more sand bass on our half and 3/4 days than we have calico bass. This half days and 3/4 day trips have been over the hard bottom zones, catching on that sand bass. The perfect setups for our guys, it's been kind of a transitional setup. It's been interesting. Like when we first get the boat set up, guys getting down to the bottom, right, with the reverse dropper loop setups have had the success. And as that fish starts to kind of climb up in the water column, it's been kind of a shift of approaches. The sliding egg sinkers, the Carolina rigs, and that kind of stuff has kind of been the go-to stuff. So, you can kind of watch the fish come up off the bottom, and you can watch that all work itself out that way. Quite a few small bonito in our accounts as well. That's been fun fishing on the light gear. That stuff's swimming around pretty good. And both zones above our harbor and some area down below. So the shiny jigs, catching plenty of that stuff to go in the bags. Some guys wanted to go home with 5. That hasn't been a problem, but it's been on that smaller size. So it's that 5 fish limit. And then still a few halibut around too. The guys that decided to stick with the dropper loop instead of making that switch over to a sliding sinker have been catching a few halibut. And then that kelp bass fishing, just in the kelp, for whatever reason, we've had some current, we've had a condition that fish hasn't been active and wanted to react to the chum and come out and take a bait. So we kind of gave that a little bit of a break a day or two this week, and then hopefully, we'll see if things kind of shape up here this next week. But a little bit slower on that calico bass. Then the Fury over at Clemente, fishing there was a bit off to a day or two, just condition-related difficulties. Lack of current in certain zones and things like that. Obviously, makes such a critical difference in catching stuff. But lack of current made it hard day to day. But Friday, things lined up for him. They had a nice hit on that sea bass. There's been some sleeper spots at sea bass island that guys have been able to get on and get. They had 27 fish on Friday in that 20 to 30 pound range in their morning. So that was kind of a good little surprise for those guys. I know there's some fish caught over there yesterday too, but that was good for them. And then that calico bass fishing by the end of the week did kind of perk up a little bit. And then the sinker fish, the whitefish, sheephead, and that kind of stuff was in play. And then for Christian on the Lexi, he's, been out in the bluefin grounds, still phenomenal fishing, 60, 70 miles, 40 to 70 miles. He's been able to get out in those zones and get on that bluefin, kitefish, just good opportunity for him to get his clients out there as well. So good stuff all around. We're just stoked for another week, and gosh, the weather this week was phenomenal. Water was warm, and things kind of lined up. So that's it for us. And then Pika, man, he's out of here. I know you guys kind of thought the stuff that we had, but he's done. He's moving to Kentucky, so we're gonna miss Captain Chris Pete. Sport fishing. He's been there for 37 years or something crazy. So I know he's been part of your show for a long time, in and out here making reports. And but good for him.
There's no salt water in Kentucky. What's he doing?
I know, it's where his wife's from. They're going to go and buy some land, and he's going to kick back and shoot his guns and, enjoy the redneck half of his.
There you go. Well, congratulations, Pika. Yeah, how many years with you guys?
It was 37 years, I think.
And I saw you threw a big party for him. That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great time. Yeah, super fun. So he'll be missed, and, this is a good opportunity for some of our young kids with licenses to jump on a boat and take stuff over. So kind of changing in the guard, bittersweet.
On to green bass instead of brown ones.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah. Cool, congratulations, Pika.
Congratulations, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks for being a part of the show for all those years he did. Chris Pika.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Was Pika directly after Mills in terms of
I
catch
think
report?
so. Yeah.
I think
Son.
so, right? Yeah, exactly.
Well, he's got that bass thing going, right, with the sun.
Yeah, he's got that locked in, ready, right?
Yeah, so he'll fit in just fine in Kentucky.
Yeah, he's gonna dig it. I'm sure he'll fit right in. Yep.
Well, awesome job, Willie. As always, you sure appreciate it. Glad to hear there's some good fishing going on, and man, with good weather ahead, we'll just look forward to another report next week.
Roger. Thanks for the time, guys. Have a great week. We'll talk to you then. See ya.
Thanks, Willie. Appreciate that as always, man. Great job. All right, with that said, let's hit the surf now. It's time for our surf report with the guru himself, Gundy Gunderson. What up, Gundy?
Yeah, Pico was always a redneck, a little bit out of place, in Orange County, and so it makes sense. The gravitational pull of Kentucky
sucked him in,
brings him back to turd farming or whatever. Let's go with the report. A lot of the same kind of conditions. Good on some beaches, poor on the other. And like we were saying last week, the guys hitting it consistently are finding the best fishing, and it can be good. Big influx this week of yellowfin croaker. I think it has to do with a lot of anchovies inside. The guys were reporting literally the croaker pushing the anchovy into the surf line, and we got one angler here who found some anchovies on the beach, turned them around for 3 yellowfin croaker, believe it or not. But interesting conditions. I think going forward here, it's going to be a real nice window of fishing. Water temperatures are relatively stable now, 69 to maybe 73 degrees. Lots of corvina around. Still catching halibut, so it's lining up pretty good for the fall here. Hookline Sig reported more good catches out west, cleaner water. El Capitan, Refugio, Goleta, kicking out quality barred perch to 13 inches. Natural bait working best, mussel, lugworm, shrimp. Some real nice halibut out there too, out west. No wide open bite, but the guys putting in the time are sticking some nice ones, 28 to 35 inch. That's real good fish. Drop shot flukes have been hot. White has been the color. Wiley's reported good croaker action below the Santa Monica Pier. A shop regular caught and released 11 fish to 3 3/4 pounds, all on sand crabs. Also had 3 corvina to 3 pounds, all in a morning incoming tide session. Tides have been nice this week. Just Fishing reported wide open croaker bites. Schools are pushing anchovies onto the beach there in Hermosa. One angler, as I was saying, found 3 still kicking anchovies in the sand when he got there first thing in the morning, turned them around for 3 croakers right off the bat. Catch 'em Tackle reported good croaker fishing. The street jetties, river jetties, the long rodders are getting them. Fishing the pyramid and the dropper loop sinker, baited with cut anchovy, probably best. Also getting some fish on crocodiles. And very good bay bass fishing in Newport Harbor there. I talked to 3 guys who fished, had 54 fish, caught and released 4 legal halibut. That's really nice session. The water's real clean in the bay there. And there was much improved fishing in the lagoons down San Diego Way also. Pacific Coast reported solid corvina fishing, Oceanside Jetty, the Oceanside Pier, Army Navy, South Carlsbad, Del Mar, all through there, kicking out real nice fish. I think 4 pound 8 ounce was the largest fish they checked in. I think a 4 pound 3 ounce won the shop's corvina derby. So boy, 70-degree water, stable weather. It's kind of what we've been waiting for all summer.
And 100 degrees inland, man. If there wasn't more reason to go hit the surf, then this is certainly it. And great fishing, Gunny, man. What a fantastic report this one was.
Yeah, real good. Yeah, 95 degrees in San Clemente. Holy smokes.
Yeah, it's hot.
Yeah, it's surf fishing
All
time
right,
for
guys,
sure.
Great show, and I know I didn't hurt Pika's feelings. He's tough.
Nah, he's tough.
Only an old friend
Congratulations,
would know him
Pika.
that well. Well, that's great info, Gundy. Appreciate it very much, bud. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, you guys. Have a good week.
Thanks, buddy. All right, that's going to wrap up our catch report today. Again, sponsored by the Fish Pros at Fisherman's Processing in San Diego, where you get the premier processing experience. Check out the easier online system to now book your processing orders for your long-range trips. Now with the new team members, Fisherman's Processing stays far ahead of the rest. More same-day capacity and the finest customer service. Stop by their location in Old Town on Taylor Street or check fishermansprocessing.com and be sure to make your reservation today. When we come back, we got a lot more Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. Lots of phone calls, lots of texts. You stay tuned. You're listening to Let's Talk Hookup on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Summit Gasoline at the San Diego Sports Arena is the place to fill up your car, truck, and boat with the lowest gas and diesel and snacks for your trip. $3.99 for 25 pounds of ice, as many as you want. That's half the price of others. Plus, you get 100 pounds of ice free with a 30-gallon fill. Kirkland products at lower prices than the store that makes them. Plus dozens of great snacks for just 89 cents. They can now accommodate 24 cars and trucks to fuel at the same time. Plus 12 diesel pumps. Easy in and outs, too. Step in. Have for you fresh made burritos, sandwiches, and salad, along with beer, beverages, and of course, always free ice. Summit gasoline low prices, friendly staff, free ice, and easy in and out with your boat and trailer at the San Diego Sports Arena. Great fishing is what Seaforth Sports Fishing and Mission Sport fishing is a favorite among anglers. Come aboard top boats like the Aztec, Cortez, Endeavor, Apollo, Outer Limits, Elgato Doe, Pride, Polaris Supreme, Tribute, Pacifica, Pacific Voyager, and the Voyager. Plus, the new Seaforth, Sea Watch, and San Diego offer the finest half and full day trips available. Seaforth Sport Fishing. For charters or schedule, check seaforthlanding.com. Run by fishermen for fishermen in Mission Bay.
Anyone that's been to the East Cape knows Smokey's Curing Company Cantina, the best food and drink in Los Barillas, and a fun place to hang out and watch your favorite sporting event. If you're lucky, you probably had Smokey's process your fish to take home. Their quality and service is top-notch. You'll see me at Smokey's Cantina hanging out with the owner, Chris, and my buddies when fishing in the East Cape. And we always send our fish to be processed at Smokey's, too. Now Chris has added one of the finest boats in the East Cape available for you to charter for a day or more of fishing. Vaquera. It's an immaculate 35 Cabo with a seakeeper and Captain Diego Romero, one of Baja's best. If you're looking for a great charter boat when fishing at Palmas, Playa, or other resorts, Vaquera, booked at BajaSmokies.com, should be your choice. So when you're headed to the East Cape, be sure to stop by Smokey's Curing Company Cantina. Send your fish to be processed there and fish aboard the 35 Cabo Vaquera. Check BajaSmokies.com for more details.
Offshore fishing is on. Hi, this is Doug Kern from Fisherman's Landing Tackle, the saltwater tackle professionals. For bluefin tuna and yellowtail, nothing beats the Shimano Talica, the pinnacle of lever drag 2-speed reels. Shimano Speedmaster 2 is also an extremely durable, high-performance lever drag reel for the more budget-minded angler. Both the Talica and Speedmaster 2 feature Shimano's Hagani body to prevent misalignment of moving parts under the heaviest of load. For all your Shimano, visit us at Fisherman's Landing Tackle at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego.
And now it's time for more of Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's talk hookup. This portion of the show is sponsored in part by Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup, Shimano, Fish with the Best, Shimano, and by Yamaha Outboards, official motor sponsor of Let's Talk Hookup. Here we go. Another great hour of Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's Talk Hookup. Here's Pete Gray, Rock Cod, Rick Maxa, and Corey Sandin.
And welcome back. Hour number 2. Let's Talk Hookup on our 33rd anniversary here, right here from the world headquarters of Let's Talk Hookup, next to the San Diego Landings that you can see on our Facebook and YouTube live scene there. That's literally the shot outside the office here where we do our broadcast here at Sun Harbor Marina, right above Pizza Nova. Right next to this Fisherman's Landing and all the boats, and we get to see that, and you get to see it too on our Facebook and YouTube live scene there. We have a great show here on our Sports Grid Radio Network, 1090 AM, and of course our Let's Talk Hookup app with Kristy and Bob from Dawson Insurance. Really a great time here with good friends and fishing people that save a lot of us a lot of time and money.
No doubt about that. We're having a great show, talking so much great information, and just all of those aha moments that we like. Oh yeah, okay, this is it. This is the thing for sure. If you want to join us this morning, we'd love to hear from you. Been a busy morning, but we got another full hour of taking your phone calls. 213-432-1090 is the way to do it. Again, 213-432-1090, or you can send us a text. The text the show option. It's only available through the Let's Talk Hookup app. Free download, easy to use. Just fire off the app, and one of the first tabs you'll see is text the show, and text in your question and make sure that you include your name and your phone number just in case you win that big prize at the end of the show today. And how that works is we're going to draw one potential winner from all the callers that make it on the air. We'll draw one potential winner from all of the texts that get read on the air. And then Kristy's going to flip our prize coin at the end of the show, which is this guy right here.
Yep.
And that's going to designate whether it's a texter or a caller. And then that person's going to get to go fishing on a full day trip on board the Liberty. And those guys have been having great fishing this year, and you're going to get in on all that great fun, that beautiful boat, killer food, great crew. Someone's going fishing for free at the end of today's show.
That's right. We very patient callers. Actually, one line open. You want to talk to JP, he'll put you in the queue. 213-432-1090. A lot of text, so text the show also, but the best way to get through right now, 213-432-1090. Let's jump into the phone.
You got it. Just like Roy from San Diego. Good morning, Roy. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Hey, good morning, guys. Quick question for the insurance people. My son recently moved out to Indiana for some contracting work, and he'll be coming back every 4 to 6 weeks or so on plane, whatever like that. So would travel insurance be good for him, for someone who's just going to do a lot of flying, but he's like, he's still going to be a San Diego native, I guess?
Sure, absolutely. Travel insurance is good, not just for fishermen, but for anyone who travels, whether it be personal or business purposes.
It doesn't matter, right?
No,
if you
it
have the
doesn't
policy
matter.
on yourself, it doesn't matter whether it's business or personal.
That's correct. Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So that's a great question.
All right.
Great.
Thanks a lot, Roy. Good question.
All right. Next up, let's talk to Jeff. He's called us from Mission Viejo this morning. Hi, Jeff. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Hey, guys. Great show. I'm at the CVX right now talking to Rosie, and I'm going to Cedros. How bad of an injury would it take for me to have there to be airlifted out, and how does that work?
That's a great question. So the policy reads on all of these travel policies, whatever is deemed medically necessary. So it really depends on the circumstances, where you're at the time of injury, what the injury is. If it's something that, like, if you're out on a boat and you cut your hand and you can get back and it's not a big deal, then they're probably just going to take you by ambulance from the coast or whatever means is necessary. But if it's something more severe, it really just depends on the circumstances. And that's what the number on the card is for. Whether you're inside the U.S. or outside the U.S., you call that number, or somebody else calls that number if you're incapacitated, and they will then direct that person at that point. Obviously, if you're on a boat, it's also up to the captain aboard the vessel or the Coast Guard to determine, like, hey, we need to get this guy off, and they'll make that call as well.
Super sore arms from pulling on Yellowtail probably don't get you evac'd out.
Probably not.
Well, let's hope that's what you have when you come back. And
I'd like to have that problem.
Yeah. Have a great trip, and thanks a lot for the call there. Appreciate that very much. I have a great text here, and it's from Ted in San Diego, and it's kind of like kudos for you guys. Very thankful to learn about travel insurance from Bob on Let's Talk Hookup a few years ago. Always get the annual coverage for my international trips. In July last year, my tackle backpack was stolen in Mexico. Value was $1,300, which the resort partially reimbursed me for. Should I have made a claim or is it too late 14 months later?
Unfortunately, 14 months later would be too late, but that is something that you could have put in. Now, on the tackle itself, personal items, typically most policies will cover $1,000, and really it's meant to supplement your homeowners or your renter's insurance for basically a deductible, and no more than $500 for a single item. So if you had put that claim in when you got back, or when you found out that it was stolen or lost, then that would have been something you could have claimed. But at this point, unfortunately, it's a little late for that.
That's a good way to do it, though. Like you said, that's something that normally would be covered under your homeowners, but this is going to kick in just to cover the deductible. So now you're not out of pocket when homeowners kicks in to cover your reels and things that did go missing. Got it.
Can we say it's like a no-brainer?
It's a no-brainer.
It's like everybody should have this
every
policy.
little part of it.
It's like every aspect of it. It's like, why wouldn't you have this policy if you even leave your house, right?
There are so many texts that have come through that it's hard to find questions. 90% of them are all kudos. Oh my God, I love it. I had my plan. I did. It's like they're all the same thing. It's all a story of how well they used and how great this is and how much they love the annual plans. But this was a text that I wanted to read from Ernie in Prosper, Texas. Says, I have a question for Kristy and Bob. I had the unfortunate opportunity to have to use the trip delay portion of my trip insurance policy. Quotations he wrote, it worked perfectly, by the way. Is it possible to increase the coverage limit offered for that specific portion of my yearly policy? And could you explain the different coverages that are included in the yearly plan?
Wow, those are some great questions.
Yeah.
So depending upon the level of coverage that you have on the annual plan will determine what you have in regards to that. It's a package policy, so there is no increasing certain coverages under the policy. It is just a package as it stands. However, if your concern is for, I would say if you had a deluxe, I don't know what plan you had, but the deluxe plan does have a little bit different coverage in that regard than the executive plans. And then also if there's a specific trip you're more concerned about than another, you can always purchase the supplemental coverage, because we do write for many carriers, not just one carrier. So sometimes I'll write an annual plan for someone, but they want a certain coverage for a specific trip. And I can write an individual plan that maybe comes with like very little to no coverage for cancellation or interruption, since they already have that, but will have higher benefits. So again, always good to call and go over your specific scenario.
And you guys are very accessible. Bob, not so much nowadays because he's retired, but you and your people that work with you.
So Heather Bell, she is designated for only travel. We don't have her answer calls for anything else but travel. So she's always available. And then of course myself. And we just recently updated our website, so you can always contact us through that as well.
What about boat insurance? I have my boat insurance through you. Do we call you?
Absolutely.
That's
so
you.
I'm the marine contact. So anything commercial, charter, personal boats, that's me.
Yeah. And you would be surprised if you give Kristy a call how much money you can save or the coverage you can get if you because she knows the ins and outs of kind of any boat that's available out there. If she can insure the San Diego Sport Fishing Fleet or the LA Sport Fishing Fleet like she does, or Dana Point or whatever, she can insure just about everybody.
And when you're making a random call to a random place to just try and get insurance coverage, they're not going to know the little things that Kristy does.
Right.
Distance and Mexico and time and, I do this thing and this policy kicks, yes, this policy looks cheap on paper, but it only covers you 15 miles into Mexico. Well, you're going 100 miles into Mexico. Like, all the ins and outs there is about everything coverage wise.
You bring up a very good point about Mexico, and this is what we dealt with. My previous policy on my boat stopped insuring in Mexico, but you have to read the fine print again. It's like, do you cover? Well, if you go to Mexico, you have to file. You have to let us know before you go, and then you're covered.
Oh yeah, I'll be right on that.
Wait a minute. So every time I go to Mexico, I'm going to have to let you know before I go.
Yeah,
Yes.
On a 9 to 5.
Yes. And this was the Progressive, which I've had insurance with before. So I called Chris and I go, can you find me a policy where I don't have to notify them when I go to Mexico? Because frankly, we go to Mexico all the time here out of San Diego. And she did, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you blink and you're in Mexico.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So
Awesome.
again, be careful of the coverage that you have if you're going to the Coronado Islands, because you may not be covered with your current policy. Right. So, and the best way to find out is call them and just say, hey, am I covered when I cross the border? And if they say, yeah, if you call us first, then call Kristy.
Yeah, call Kristy.
Yeah.
Or if you're unsure the answer that you're getting isn't maybe accurate, I'm happy to review policies
so
and read through the document for you. I mean, and just tell you what coverage you have and what you don't, what I would recommend.
Because for whatever reason, a lot of companies discontinued coverage in Mexico. They used to be pretty standard with a lot of policies where they covered you down to Punta Banda.
Right.
They don't do that anymore. Why'd they stop that?
I'm sure it had to do with underwriting. There's areas where there's different concerns of loss in the water, and Mexico would be one of them.
Yeah. All right, let's jump back on the phones, Rick.
You got it, buddy. How about this time? We talked to John, and he's calling us from Escondido this morning. Hey, John, welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Hey, good morning, everybody. So I got one comment and a couple comments, but on the PCS magazine, Gundy had a 5-page article in there talking about surf fishing, and I'm not a surf fisherman, but it caught my eye, and I read the whole 5 pages. It was that intriguing. So kudos to Gundy for putting that together. And then you guys are just phenomenal. You can never say enough about you guys. I had your policy. My wife and I went to Europe last year, and so when she was setting everything up, they're like, "Well, you need an insurance policy." And she's like, "Well, my husband has this, right?" She's like, "Oh yeah, that'll cover you." And so she called you guys up. You guys set her up, And now that like when we went to Queen Charlotte Safari, she was covered and everything like that. But you guys, you make it easy. I don't have to worry about when it expires because you call me and let me know, and we just renew it, and it's just easy peasy. So thanks again for everything you guys do.
Thank you so much.
All right, there you go. More kudos. Hey, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate that very much. DJ in San Diego has an interesting question. He says, and we knew this was going to come up, so we're going to go for it. I'm curious to know what would be covered for the anglers on the recent boat that sank, the Jig Strike, in terms of equipment and lost fishing trip. Also, what would be covered for anglers on the boat that rescued them in terms of lost fishing trip? Some good questions there.
Right. So we can't speak exactly to a specific incident, but I can say that there will be coverage in one way or another, either by the boat policy or as far as personal items, travel insurance again does cover some of that.
Does it?
Depending on what the lost items are and the amount of those items, because there is a limitation. Of course, there's also coverage under homeowners and renters insurance, but in a situation like that, normally that's going to be something between the boat policy and the travel insurance.
Yeah, generally. So if you had the travel insurance and the boat coverage didn't cover all of your tackle, then you could make up for it with the travel insurance.
Well, it's either or.
I gotcha.
Whatever.
Okay.
The better the scenario.
But this policy that you sell would cover for some lost
items, yes, up to the policy.
Because you could have thousands of dollars with a tackle on the boat that went down with it. Yeah.
Yeah, and travel insurance really isn't meant to cover like thousands of dollars, right? Like if you look at the policy, it's $1,000 is usually the coverage amount for personal items, again with the $500 limit on one specific item, but it is meant to supplement other insurance policies.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I don't know if it's right for this particular scenario, but just maybe you can touch on it in general, because it's another thing that I really like is the trip interruption part of things. Like maybe a couple of days out of your trip you weren't able to get through, or the boat got delayed or engine problem, whatever. I know, Bob, you've seen a lot of them over the years, and Kristy, like there's the trip happened. You didn't get, the trip didn't get canceled, but there were a couple of days that you didn't get to do it, and it can cover you for just a partial of your trip as well.
Yes, depending upon the circumstances of why the trip was interrupted would determine whether the travel insurance would cover it. Like, for instance, mechanical breakdown is not a reason for a trip interruption coverage. So if it's something specific to, let's say, the vessel itself, in the case of sport fishing, that would not be covered under trip interruption. But let's say you became ill on the boat and you had to stay in your stateroom, for the remainder of the trip, that would be covered under trip interruption. So
interesting. All right.
Injury or illness.
Got it. Have another fun question from Brandon in Rancho San Diego. Says, Bob and Kristy, can you give us a story of your most favorite emergency evac, the one you're the most proud of getting somebody out of the craziest location?
Bob's got some
I'm
good
gonna
stories,
let Bob
right?
speak to this one because he's got way crazier stories than I do. I'm pretty boring on this one.
Well, most of the evacs that we do are in relation to a medical issue. One we had not too long ago involved a guy that had a infection on his toe. Fortunately, there was 2 doctors that were on the boat at the time, and they could see a red line moving up his leg. So they marked it with an indelible marker, and then they would check it the next day and they go, hey, this guy's got to get off the boat. And they were down by Mag Bay. I guess there's a naval, some type of hospital down there for the Mexican Navy. But anyway, they got him in there. And the bottom line is that the Mexican doctor, who said, hey, I'm really, really good. He said, I can save your toe. He ultimately didn't want him to do that. I guess he saw a cockroach on the floor somewhere or something and thought, no way, I'm going to go back home. But when he did, he ended up losing half his foot because they waited.
wow.
You know, but geez, just the flight from there back to the States for a hospital was, I think it was 29,000 or 32,000, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just
that
for
was,
that
I
short
believe,
distance?
on that one they had a medical escort, correct? If I
Yeah.
remember right. So,
So, like,
it
they-
covers that as well.
As
so
well.
So they're paying for the nurse to fly with him.
Correct.
Just to make
And they
sure.
had your insurance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were covered.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Other ones we've had somebody in Africa. You remember that one? That was years ago. That got helicoptered out, got attacked. I think it was by a lion. I don't remember. That was about 6, maybe 7 years ago.
Really?
That one was,
And
yeah.
they
It was 100% covered.
100%
Yeah.
covered. Helicoptered out to a regional,
to a facility that was
facility
more
that was-
qualified because it was in a remote area with not a lot of,
Wow.
high tech.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Crazy.
things happen. Why wouldn't you have it?
Yeah, you can go over to Africa. You can get bit by a black mamba, a cobra, all kinds of things that could go
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you could do that, right? You know, you go to the high Sierras and get bit,
Yeah, exactly.
bit by something, right?
I was just
Maybe
gonna
get
say I've
out of
been
there.
walking a trail and saw a bobcat. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But that Mag Bay one is so relatable. I mean, that's any of us.
That's
You know,
right
you
there.
go on a trip and you're down a few days and
Yeah.
you get a cut and you don't think about it and it's hot tropical water and you got an infection and boom, you're that story
That
right
guy.
there.
Yeah.
That could have happened to a ton of us that are listening to the show right now.
Yeah. I mean, there's been numerous occasions in Mexico where people say, "Oh no, this hospital's fine." Go home.
Yeah. So many. And
Have the travel insurance, get the flight, go home.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's my advice.
Yeah. And I know
possible.
I know
You've
for
seen
sure.
it- yeah.
Yeah.
You've seen it firsthand more than one time.
Absolutely. Bob and Kristy, the pre-existing condition coverage available with the annual plan on your trip is next. If your annual trip is next year and coverage ends before the trip starts, does the pre-existing condition still play into it? And that's from John in Huntington Beach.
Hi, John. So that's a great question. So as far as the pre-existing medical condition, regardless of if it's a single trip plan or an annual plan, as long as you purchase the coverage, so your travel insurance within 2 weeks of making your initial trip deposit, it provides you with a pre-existing condition waiver so that if something happened and it was a pre-existing condition, it would still be covered. Now, if you're talking about you've made a deposit this year and then literally if you purchase the plan it's going to expire before the actual trip occurs, which happens because a lot of people book their travel over a year out. As long as you renew that annual plan, it's still going to cover you, but it does basically your annual plan, it's for coverage during that policy term. So if you don't have any other travel plans booked until that trip, then a lot of times I will recommend an individual trip plan in that case. But that again comes back to that's when you give us a call and go over your specific scenario so we can say, hey, this is what makes the most sense for you, because the annual plan's a fantastic deal and I think everyone should have one. But there are some circumstances where I will recommend a single trip plan.
Okay, so what is the story with if you have a pre-existing condition, can you still get the annual plan?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
pre-existing. I had a client that had cancer, and he bought a policy for a caribou hunt that he wanted to go on. That was quite expensive, but unfortunately, he ended up dying before the hunt. So we ended up reimbursing his daughter for the
cost of the trip.
It was expensive trip.
Yeah, I
you
believe.
know.
Yeah. Caribou are tough to pursue. For sure, and too bad he didn't get the chance to go
I
do
know
that.
it,
Yeah,
right? That's
yeah. But if you when does a pre-existing condition not fall? When does that exclude you?
Okay, so when you're excluded from pre-existing condition coverage is when you did not have a plan in place at the time you purchased or within 2 weeks of making that first deposit on that trip.
Okay.
Or you let your annual plan expire and then didn't renew it before the expiration date. So we recommend, I have an annual plan. Bob's got an annual plan. We just renew it year after year.
So do I.
You would
Yep.
think, something, you may not think, oh, I don't have a pre-existing condition, but that also follows like the cancellation for your family member or your traveling companion, right? They might have a pre-existing
Right.
condition you
Good
don't
point.
even know about. They might have been on blood blood pressure medication for years and you thought, oh yeah, they're good, but they might have just went to their doctor with an episode 2 months ago. Now it's considered a pre-existing condition.
But as long as you
Make sure
buy
you
the
have
policy, the annual policy, within 2 weeks of booking your trip, you're covered.
Correct.
With
And
pre-existing
obviously, if you already have your annual plan in place, then all throughout the year, when you're
yeah.
making more deposits, you automatically have that.
And then when
coverage.
you renew that policy, even if you book the trip before that, you're
Right.
covered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea is just get the policy, keep it.
Right.
Yeah, and then, on the pre-existing conditions too, it's if you're taking a medication for high blood pressure, that's going to be covered. But the main reason they put it in effect is because let's say you broke a leg, and then you have a fishing trip coming up 4 months later. Now you can't make the trip because of the broken leg hasn't healed properly. That's definitely something that you want to purchase that policy within that 14 days or renew the current policy that you have so you don't have any lapse in the pre-existing condition.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. All right. You have a good one,
I
huh?
thought so. Yeah. It says, good morning, guys. My question is in regards to insuring fishing tackle. Lots of questions about tackle specifically this. And his question is whether you thought it would be better to use the yearly plan, or are there any specific trip plans or just personal plans where I could have a rider on my fishing gear? Things get quite expensive as they add up. That's from Juan in Temecula.
Yeah, I can answer that. Where you're going to get your coverage is off your renter's policy, your condo policy, or your homeowner's policy. Now, all those have a deductible, but they also cover off-premises coverage for 10% of your personal property. So, an example, let's say your house is worth $1 million. Well, if you're in San Diego, it is on the average.
Yeah.
And the contents are typically going to be $700,000 to $750,000. It's usually 70 to 75% of the home values for contents. When you go off premises somewhere in the world, you have 10% of that 750,000 or 75,000. So you're going to have 75,000 coverage right there for your tackle. And because rods and reels, you can spend $1,500, $2,000 on one outfit, depending on what you're getting.
Sure.
And so the coverage under the travel policy is just to help you kind of offset your deductible.
Got it.
And, in a lot of cases anymore, with these homes being so expensive, a lot of people, to save money, will have a $2,500 deductible or a $5,000 or a $10,000. Typically, when you get above a $10,000 deductible, it doesn't make a lot of sense to go to a $25,000. You're not saving enough money on that policy to justify having to pay an extra $15,000 before everything goes into effect. The second scenario you can do is you can add that to a homeowners, renters, or condominium owners policy as scheduled property. When you schedule it, now it has no deductible. So your fishing gear, let's say you got 10,000.
But you have to have it scheduled, which means you have to write it all down specifically, right?
Yeah, you need the, let's say it's a Talica 20 for $600 or $700 and custom rod for $450, $500, whatever it might be.
Tell us where you got those deals, by the way.
Right?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Back in the day, right?
Yeah. Don't forget about the $200 worth of line.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It all adds up. But yeah, you could schedule it and have no deductible on it and have coverage worldwide wherever you go, or take your fishing equipment, guns, anything like that. Because I've had people insuring, some of these hunts to Africa, the guys that can afford to do that usually have some pretty pricey guns.
Sure.
They could be $25,000 is nothing for a double rifle.
Yeah.
And you can get up to $250,000. But, if something goes wrong with that, like let's say your stock breaks, because the weakest point is right behind the trigger on that pistol grip. So I had one of my clients who insured the gun for the $25,000 he paid for it to replace the stock and foreend, because it's matching wood. It's a double rifle. Was $9,800 just for the wood.
Wow. Just for the wood.
Just for the wood.
Wow.
No deductible, but I couldn't believe it broke in.
But he was covered.
Yeah, he was covered because he had it scheduled and no deductible.
And typically to schedule your personal property like that does not add much to the premium of your policy. So definitely worth looking into if you have some higher value items that you're most
your homeowner's
concerned about.
policy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
Real
That's good info.
Well, 213-432-1090 open right now. Been a busy morning. There's your chance to get through. Let's jump into it, Rick.
Matt from La Mesa has been hanging in there with us. Matt, thanks for hanging. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. I'm just calling in a live report from the Tradition. Did a day and a half on it, 25 people. We had 50 bluefin for limits. And the last fish of last night was a 200-pounder on the Eddie Bomb.
Hey, rad.
Wow.
There's a solid report.
Yeah, that is. Are you out on the bank?
Yeah, we were fishing. We started out on the Cortez, and then last night we moved in by San Clemente and had a really good bite on the night fish. So everybody got limits, and like I said, the last fish on the boat literally was a guy fishing an Eddie Bomb with the treble hook on the bottom, and there was no way that fish was going home.
Yeah,
that's so
it
cool.
Was a good, nice sized fish.
That's nice. Well, thanks for the report, Matt. That sounds like a nice trip. Appreciate the call this morning.
Limits and a cow, we'll take that.
Any
Just
day.
fine. That's awesome,
Yeah.
buddy. Congratulations. Hey, when we come back, we got a lot more Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. First opportunity at an open phone line since the show started. If you want to get through, this is your shot. 213-432-1090. More Let's Talk Hookup coming your way on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
This is Pete, and I hear it all the time. That Jim and Mary at Poway Valley Collision are amazing. I took my car to Valley Collision, mentioned Let's Talk Hookup, and they gave us VIP treatment, fixed our car, and even gave us a special price. Believe me when I say Poway Valley Collision is worth the drive from anywhere in the Southland. At some point, your car will need a body repair, and I'm confident in saying it pays to go to Poway Valley Collision. Our listeners can save hundreds of dollars on your next car or truck repair. They work with most insurance companies, including Auto Club, MetLife, Wawanesa, and more. All you do is call Jim, Mary, or any of their team members, and they do all the rest. No hassles, just top-notch work and VIP treatment. When you take your car or truck to Poway Valley Collision, the job and experience will be top-notch. Get it fixed right at Poway Valley Collision, 14211 Garden Road in Poway. Check PowayValleyCollision.com. If it was possible to improve near perfection in a lever drag saltwater reel, Shimano is the company that can do it. Introducing the all-new Talica 12A and 16A two-speed lever drag reel. These new Talica reels raise the bar of Shimano's flagship reel again with ultra-smooth reeling and powerful drag performance to conquer long battles with trophy game fish. The addition of Shimano's innovative Infinity Drive technology leverages a new drag design to increase drag force and produce up to 30% lighter rotation during tough battles. The new generation of Talica now features X-Protect technology to boast high-level water resistance in vital areas. These new Shimano reels feature a Hagani body made of highly rigid aluminum to reduce the reel's overall weight. The palming side plate is an additional 6% smaller than the previous generation. Push the limit. Shimano's all-new Talica 12A and 16A reel, available at your local Shimano dealer. Hey, San Diego, the Make It Ford Summer Sales event is on. Visit your San Diego County Ford dealers now and make it your best summer yet. Amazing offers and great selection of Ford vehicles, like the Built Wild Bronco family, with a deal you just can't miss. Your biggest adventures are awaiting. Make it Ford, make it yours, make it now. Only at your San Diego County Ford dealers. They'll be glad to hook you up.
For quality, the Islander out of Fisherman's Landing is a favorite among anglers. But Islander Charters is much more than great fishing. The quality of the captains and crew, as well as the great meals and service, speak for themselves. Comfortable staterooms, a super clean and well taken care of boat are just a few of the reasons the Islander is so popular. The Islander specializes in 1.5 to 5 day fishing. Experience the Islander difference. Visit IslanderSportFishing.com.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. Man, what a great time we're having here this morning. Again, if you want to get through, talk to Kristy, talk to Bob, 432-1090.
A lot going on here, a lot of great texts, and just so much good information. We haven't talked about how we get a hold of you. That's or buy this insurance, and that would be important. That if they want to get a hold of you guys, how does one get a policy?
Absolutely. So you can always
or
call
inquire
in.
about their boat insurance or whatever.
Right. For whatever kind of insurance you need, you can always reach us at our on our line on the phone at 619-460-5615. And we're really proud. We just recently updated our website. If anybody had been out to our previous website, it definitely needed a refresher, and it got one. So you can now actually fill in quote details for any type of insurance that you need: travel, vessel insurance, whether it be personal or commercial use. And that is at DR, like Dawson Robert, and then the word insure, INSURE.com. So drinsure.com. And there's all of our contact information is there. Any kind of insurance you could possibly need, you can find out the details there.
And you can link that on the Let's Talk Hookup website, the links page on the Let's Talk Hookup website. If you get that, just go to the Let's Talk Hookup website, letstalkhookup.com, go to the links page, look for Dawson Insurance, travel insurance, and it's there. A lot of people probably have questions after I brought up the fact that a lot of policies don't cover into Mexico anymore. So they're welcome to call you and say, hey, I am insured with X insurer. Am I covered in Mexico if I go to the Coronado Islands?
Right. And
you'll know the answers. You'll research it for them.
In some cases, I'll know. Otherwise, I will have you send over a copy of your policy, and I can take a look at it and let you know. And otherwise, I can tell you which ones are doing it correctly.
So, but I'm telling you, from my experience, a lot of places don't cover it anymore.
That's correct.
Even if they did at one time, things are changing.
Yeah.
They kind of change the policy document from year to year. They have the option to do that. And if you're not really reading carefully through that policy, you could easily miss it.
Yeah, for sure.
And nobody reads policy.
Yeah.
God, that's like reading there's only one person I know that reads manuals for their electronics, and that's Steve Pazel. That's it. I've never known anybody that read a manual, but he does. But he knows how to use the electronics, though.
No,
better than most. But that's like insurance policies, right?
They're a great cure for insomnia.
Yeah, if you want to. Do you read the insurance policies?
If I can't sleep. No, yeah, absolutely. Of course I read the insurance policy.
That's your job.
That's my job.
That's your job. So, Mikey in Oceanside has a good question. He says, good morning, Pete, Rick, Bob, and Kristy. Great show and topic. I'm a customer of Dawson Insurance, and these guys are great to work with. Super responsive and great service. Only had to use the insurance once. Wifey had to use onboard medical services on a cruise ship. Surprise, they add medical services cost to your final bill, but we were reimbursed 100% on our trip insurance. This is for this cost. Wow, highly recommended. Something people don't think about. You go into go on a cruise, you go see the doctor, they're going to charge you for that, right?
Absolutely.
You would be covered if you had this policy, huh?
Yes.
Wow. That's cool. How often does that happen?
Quite a bit.
I'll bet. I never even thought of that.
I would say we get more medical claims than we do trip interruption or cancellation, far more medical because, again, they want some, whether even when your own health insurance covers it, there's always some copay to pay. So that's where this comes in. And then you're out of pocket nothing.
What if you were in another country and you had to go to the hospital there and you got charged for services that they rendered? If you had the travel insurance, would you be covered on that?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Same thing.
Yeah. Right? As long as it's covered under the policy, as far as, if you're going for a medical emergency, which if you're going out of country, it's an emergency, even if it's just a cold or you test positive for COVID or you got strep throat or something like that. You're not going just, for your annual checkup. So yes, that's when your travel insurance kicks in for the emergency medical benefits.
Cool. I had a great text. This one was from Joe. It says, man, I'm blown away by this yearly policy and I want to sign up for sure. My question is, does the policy start the day you buy it or does it start on January 1st? Really excited to get this going.
So that's a great question. So the policy is for 365 days. So if you were to call the office and purchase the policy let's say today, it would start coverage tomorrow. You could start it as early as tomorrow. You can also push your start date out up to 60 days. So let's say you don't have any travel plans in September, but you do October 15th. You could purchase the plan today and say, I want the start date to start on October 14th, the day before I leave on my trip. And it would cover for your trips from October 14th of this year to October 14th of next year.
Okay. So you can push it out how many days?
Up to 60.
Up to 60 days. Great.
That's cool.
Good information for sure. Let's jump back on the phones.
Dan in West Covina is up next on Let's Talk Hookup. Dan, good morning.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I was just calling in response to a question I had from a friend of mine after we saw the jig strike incident, on YouTube. He was going like, now, if a Coast Guard helicopter has to rescue you at sea, do they charge for that to pick you up? And then if so, would the travel insurance cover that? Because I know in the mountain rescue situation, they actually do charge you, especially if you get lost. So I was just curious to see how that's covered.
That's a great question. So yes, if you had to be picked up, rescued by a helicopter or other means, whether it's an ambulance or whatever the case is, if there is a charge for that, that's when it would fall under the travel insurance. In the case you mentioned, the jig strike, it really depends on the circumstances and who would then be responsible for that cost. So I'm sure the Coast Guard charges something for that, but whether it's your personal travel insurance or the boat's policy, would be determined upon the circumstances of the reason for rescue.
But if you're hiking on a mountain somewhere and the mountain rescue charges you, you're covered if you have that policy.
Or if you're on a boat and you have a medical emergency, like a single person medical emergency, not the entire boat medical emergency, then yes, that would be something that would be covered under your travel insurance.
Jen brings up a great point in this crazy hypothetical thing that would never happen. Say you're in the Grand Tetons and you fall off a horse and break both your arms.
Oh yeah.
they charge you $50,000 to fly you out of there.
Yeah.
And then had you been smart enough to buy an insurance plan, you would have gotten covered and just flown out instead of have to ride the horse back out. So
Yeah.
in this crazy hypothetical that would never happen, they charge you $50,000.
But that's actually happened.
Yeah, it did happen.
Yeah.
and I'll never not have a plan after that.
Yes, it was a painful lesson, shall we say,
exactly.
right? Pain. So don't go on. Don't have a painful lesson.
That's
the moral of the story.
If you travel, I mean, if you, like Bob said it best, I mean, you don't have to be a guy that goes to Europe to have a travel plan. I mean, we go fishing all the time. Like, how many day and a half trips does the average angler do a year? A couple of them. Like, if you need this thing one time, it's paying for itself over the top. My favorite point that I didn't think about when Kristy mentioned this morning, just in the rental car savings, if you're doing the family trip somewhere, it's likely going to pay itself off just in the extra insurance that you have to pay. This is such a good call.
Yeah, for sure. Here's another one from Daniel in Santa Barbara. He says, good morning, guys. Question for Bob and Kristy. I like to fish and surf. Me too. If I go on a trip and let's say to Hawaii and my surfboard gets damaged, will I be able to get it fixed or replaced depending on the damage with my policy?
So the policy does not cover your surfboard for damage. However, if it were lost or stolen, that is when the coverage would kick in for personal items, but again, up to the limit.
Yeah, but it's not damage to a personal property, but it's lost or stolen.
Correct. The only damage coverage would be to a rented vehicle. So that's the damage coverage that's included in that annual.
So in other words, if he rented a car while he was in Hawaii, he wouldn't have to have that additional waiver.
Right.
He would be covered up to
not an accident,
the policy limits.
Right. That would be covered on that, but there's no damage coverage for personal property.
And how much is that? Like on the executive plan, how much is the rental car damage?
$45,000.
$45,000. So if you rent a higher end vehicle, you may want to get additional, but if it's because if it gets stolen or something like that.
Right. And
but
that is
45
a good point.
covers a lot.
It does, but that's a good point, Pete, because it has limitations on it like any policy.
Right.
So if the value of the vehicle is more than $75,000, it is not covered. So if you're renting a Ferrari,
45.
It will not cover any, even up to $45,000
if it's over 75
on a car that's valued over 75. So for instance, if you're renting a Ferrari, you don't have coverage.
Gotcha. Okay, good point. So if the value of the vehicle is over 75, it's not.
Yeah.
So how do you know? Like what if like some of these SUVs are
right? I would say
Yeah.
when you're renting like luxury vehicles, you can
Yeah.
probably pretty much bet it's not going to be
It's not
covered.
gonna
It's
be
like if you're
covered.
renting a
So
little
get additional
SUV or a, you
Yeah.
know, just the get around
Or-
car that
yeah.
most, you know,
just a standard rental
right,
car.
exactly.
You're covered. Yeah. All right. Good deal. All right. Let's
How
jump.
does she know this?
Yeah.
You know everything
Yeah,
about
we've-
this. Every
Yeah.
time we talked about it at the beginning of the show, again, every time it blows me away. I love having you guys on here. It's so cool. You do such a
Thank
good
you
job.
so
It's
much.
really,
11
really-
years of looking
It's
at
really
those
cool.
policies.
Yeah, and then Bob started it all, right? Yeah, I mean, how long did Kristy work for you before she basically kind of took over and allowed you to go fishing?
Yeah, she told me, Bob, we're going to pay you to stay away. So I took her up on it.
Yeah.
Good
Hey,
move,
I
man.
would.
Yeah, good
Can
move.
I sign up for
I'm
that?
waiting for that program too.
Yeah, for sure. Let's jump back in the phones. Rick.
You got it.
Oh, for sure.
How about this time we talked to Jim, and Jim's calling us from Chula Vista this morning. What up, Jim? Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for taking my call. It's my first time calling, so please bear with me.
Hey.
It's more of a question. My buddy and I were out fishing several years ago, and we were drifting on the boat in the middle of the day, going for yellowtail and some yellowfin. And my buddy and I were just drifting in the middle of the day, so things were kind of slow. He reeled in his line to check his bait, and his hook was gone. And he had his drag on, and nothing tugged on the line. So we were really confused and wondering how in the heck that could happen. So he tied up another hook, threw it on his bait.
Oh,
God, we're
sounds
losing,
like
losing him there.
Yeah. Are you covered for the loss of the hook?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I don't know to try to break the story down for you.
Go ahead.
We were wondering what was going on, and all of a sudden we were surrounded by a bunch of black spots, and we looked at them.
I want to hear the story. I'm so bummed
yeah,
right
wait
now.
a minute here. You're drifting in and out.
I cut a piece of bait, and they're on the surface out by the 9 Mile Bank, and stingrays don't go on the surface; they stay they comb the bottoms. And so what I did, I put a piece of bait on a hook, and I dropped down, and I hooked up one, pulled it up, and his belly was black also. So his whole body was black, and he had little razor sharp teeth.
You broke up there.
So it's some kind of a ray.
Yeah, we
Is
didn't
that
get
what
to
you're
hear
saying?
what it was.
It was a stingray, and they weren't large ones. They were just like a regular sized stingray,
Small
but they're completely black on the surface, that high up. And even when I contacted the landings, I asked them and skippers on their boats, did you guys ever experience that? Did you ever see anything like that before?
I've never heard that.
Absolutely
Yeah.
not. Never heard of it.
Yeah, I've never heard.
Yeah, no, that's good.
That's Bob, you ever heard of something like that?
No.
Certainly
Yeah,
some
that's a new one.
You know, there's pelagic rays that you
Sure,
see offshore,
absolutely.
but usually they're not
And-
small. Usually
yeah.
they're big, and in terms of like cutting your line off and things like that, wouldn't.
Yeah.
I was sure that this story was going the route of blue shark or mako or
Yeah,
wahoo or
yeah.
something like that.
But
But yeah,
small rays.
very interesting one, Jim, for sure.
That's a good one. Hey, thanks a lot for the phone call this morning. Hey, a question from Mrs. P. You know who that is.
yeah.
How specific does a physician's note need to be when filing a claim for a trip cancellation due to a friend's injury?
Okay, that's a great question.
Yes.
Good call,
So,
Nancy.
when you are putting in a claim, regardless of whether it's for yourself, a traveling companion, or a family member, the physician's note needs to state the onset of the injury or the illness, the nature of the illness or injury. So it can't just say they're sick. It has to give a reason, and then that travel is not recommended. And it either has to be for a determined period of time that includes when you would be going on the trip, or saying indefinitely until, otherwise notified by the medical professional. So it needs to include all three of those things, and of course be on letterhead with the physician's signature.
That's if your friend, you had to cancel your trip with a friend, you have to get that note from the friend's physician.
Correct.
For
Yes.
your claim.
To put in your claim.
And then you need to have your proof of payment of the tickets,
right.
The cancellations of the
cancellation
tickets.
policy. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, and that's a great question, because a lot of people think, well, it's not my injury and I don't have the right to ask that information. But from an insurance standpoint, the reason they're asking for the onset of that injury is to to either one, confirm that it's not a pre-existing medical condition, and even if you have the coverage for the pre-existing medical condition, they want to know that that friend was able to travel at the time that you purchased the policy. You know what I mean? So that's the reason. They're not just asking because they're nosy and they want all of your friends' information. They need it for their specific check sheet and their guidelines, right? It's got to qualify under the policy.
Okay, so there's so many different scenarios. Yes. So, okay, the friend doesn't have a policy, but you do. The friend has to cancel because of injury, but they do have the friend had a pre-existing condition when they booked the trip. What is that still covered?
Well, so and this is where it gets unclear, right?
Yeah.
A lot of questions come up around this pre-existing condition, either inclusion or exclusion.
Right.
And pre-existing condition means on an annual basis, it means anything that you've been acutely treated for in the last 4 months.
Right.
So if somebody has a pacemaker and it was put in a year ago, they have had no issues since. That's not necessarily considered a pre-existing condition. However, if they've been recently seen by their doctor because they were having some troubles or some complications that in the last 4 months on a annual plan and the last 6 months on an individual, then it's a pre-existing condition. So if your friend has a pre-existing condition, you have to cancel because their condition worsened. As long as you have that pre-existing condition waiver, it would still be covered.
Okay, you'd have to get a waiver.
So that there again, that's why we always recommend, when is the best time to purchase travel insurance? As soon as you book your travel.
So if they book the travel and then within 2 weeks bought the policy, it doesn't matter what
it would still be covered.
It would still be covered.
Yeah, because they would have that pre-existing condition waiver.
Yeah, that's key for sure.
The key is just buy it at the beginning of the year and never worry about it.
Or just buy it when don't let your policy lapse.
Right. Or as soon as you book your travel. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Like John says, the beauty of buying from, Kristy and Bob is you're going to call them, hey, we're about to expire in another month. Let's re-up. Done deal.
Right.
Here you go.
Right.
And you have
nothing to worry about.
So, and this comes up. People go, well, is it automatically gonna, renew? And no, they don't. Travel plans don't automatically renew. So we do reach out between 60 and 45 days via email. By 30 days, we're reaching out to you over the phone. We're not trying to, track you down. We just want to make sure
it doesn't lapse.
That if you've got travel plans that you're covered and that you're getting the maximum benefit possible from your plan.
Right. So if you had a trip booked and your travel plan lapsed, you wouldn't be covered for the pre-existing condition.
That's correct.
Versus if you renewed it, you'd be covered. Yeah. Okay.
There it is.
That's important. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
This one is, hey everybody. My question is in how is destination defined? I live 90 miles from my dock in San Diego to where I live in Orange County. If something happens on my way down to meet my boat, accident, family emergency, less than 100 miles, am I still covered? It could be hard to tell if the boat were heading south or north regarding that 100 miles. I love the show. Keep up the crazy information. You guys rock. Paul in Fountain Valley.
Oh, that's a great question.
Okay.
So, I couldn't gather whether it was his personal boat or if it was like a charter. If he's going on a charter, we've never had an issue at all getting a claim through, even for people that live in San Diego, getting on one of the sport fishing boats to go out on the water to fish because it's an actual trip that you're purchasing. Right. But if it's on your personal boat, I would imagine they're going to ask for some kind of they're going to ask for your address, of course, which they'll already have, and then where your boat was at and where your plans were to go. And that's how they're going to determine that 100-mile limit offshore. So.
Okay, let me run this scenario.
Because you're not going to stump her, all right?
Yeah.
You're not going to do it.
Okay, so I live in Los Angeles, and I drive to Dana Point to get on a boat to go to San Clemente Island, which is 50 miles away. Now, combine that travel is 100 miles, more than 100 miles. Am I covered?
When your your destination is 100 miles or more from home.
From home, because you got in the car, you moved, you went there. Okay. All right. Yeah. The whole it's the total trip.
Correct.
When you leave your home, if you drive and then come back closer to your home, it doesn't matter as long as the total mileage of whether combined with the boat and the car.
They're not hung up on this weird straight line distance. Oh no, you're only 93. You're out.
No, and I mean, knock on wood, but I've never had a claim where they came down to like, well, you were 99 miles.
Exactly.
It's not happen.
Not going to cover you. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That they're not going to go out and measure. It's like, wait a minute, let's take a little flight to see what's going on here. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, there's so much to talk about. One of the most important things I can relate to our listeners is just call Kristy and her associates. I mean, that's the key, right? Is just, if you have questions about it, am I covered? Am I done? You know, if you have questions about whether your boat is covered, I mean, and that's some really important stuff to understand is, you know, because things happen on the water. And if you have a boat with a lot of valuables in it and you travel into Mexico, you travel here, travel there, and your boat insurance says, nope, sorry, you're not covered. That's not good.
No,
yeah,
it's not good.
Yeah.
This is a good one. It says, good morning, guys. This is Baja Ben. My question is, do I need coverage for my 5-year-old when traveling? Is it worth having an additional policy for children? And then he was looking for your thoughts.
Good question. Family policy.
That's a great question. Yes. So we didn't talk about, there is a family plan that is an annual plan as well. It's called the annual premier plan. And it will start with as low as $2,000 a year for cancellation and interruption coverage and go all the way up to $15,000 a year for the family. So if
that's an annual plan.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's for, basically it covers anyone who lives in the household. So they have to live with you. You know, to be covered under that plan, but it's great for families with small children. If you want to purchase travel insurance on an annual basis where you don't want to think about it, maybe you go on several fishing trips a year, maybe once or twice a year you take your kids along, then everybody has that medical coverage. Everybody has that evacuation or transportation coverage, as well as the cancellation, and you don't have to think about it every single time. However, there are instances, especially with young children children under the age of 18, where sometimes I'll recommend, like, if they're only going on one trip, it might be that we purchase have you purchase a small single trip coverage, because there's some single trip plans that will actually cover children for free. So again, give me a call. I'm happy to talk to you about your circumstances.
They'd all be covered?
I believe
I've got 2. If you have 8 kids, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, right. I was just going to say, if you have 8 kids and you can go somewhere, I know a 51-year-old who you can adopt.
Hey, when we come back, we got a lot more Let's Talk Hookup coming in, including finding out who's going fishing on board the Liberty. More Let's Talk Hookup coming your way on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Everyone has their go-to fishing spot. My spot is Kingfisher Charters in Sitka, Alaska. Rock Cod Rick here to say if you're looking for the ultimate Alaska experience and the best value, it's Kingfisher Charters. Owner Seth Bone and his crew consistently deliver deluxe accommodations, the finest food, world-class fish processing, and top-of-the-line fishing experience. We've literally sent hundreds of our listeners to Kingfisher, and they all can't wait to go back. Most Alaska resorts make big promises, and they don't deliver, or they'll nickel and dime you to drive up the cost, but not Kingfisher. Everything is included. Your license, fish processing, super deluxe accommodations, amazing food, airport transfers, your gear. Literally, all you need to bring is your layer clothing, and Kingfisher covers the rest. They also have the finest boats and charter captains in Sitka, all for the ultimate value. Take it from me. Book your trip to Kingfisher Charters, and you'll thank me. Kingfisher Charters, 800-727-6136, or check kingfishercharters.com. When it comes to fishing rods for saltwater, there's just one name you need to know: CalStar. Take, for example, the Graphiter series. It's a true graphite and fiberglass composite rod, the finest it's ever been built. And for anglers seeking traditional performance, durability, and quality at an affordable price, the CalStar West Coast series of rods and blanks are the ones for you. Their master craftsmen bring decades of rod building experience to every rod they make. So if you want your fishing rods to be truly state-of-the-art, I always recommend CalStar at fine tackle stores everywhere.
There are moments that change our perception of what is and isn't possible. Cosmic shifts where the stars align with the earth to alter how we see the world. The release of King Tide is one of those moments. This is the crowning achievement of Costa's 40-year legacy on the water, the culmination of every innovation and lessons learned up until this point. Wins and losses and highs and lows have brought us here to stand witness to a legacy brought to life, to achieve the ultimate potential on the water. Costa King Tide, rule the water.
For your next fishing adventure, check Point Loma Sport Fishing. They offer half-day and full-day trips daily, perfect for families and the novice or seasoned fishermen. Point Loma Sport Fishing also offers overnight to multi-day trips, targeting the best of seasonal catches. Visit PointLomaSportFishing.com, where you can purchase tickets online and get more information on the trips available, or call 619-223-1627. Want to go fishing? Point Loma Sport Fishing has you covered.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. Okay, it is time to find out who's going fishing on board the Liberty. Kristy's going to do us the honors.
All right, here we go.
Ooh, nice flip. Nice flip.
Maybe not.
Hey, that one wasn't your fault. It was a roll.
I saw it. It's a texter.
A texter.
It's a texter. Bob's picking it up.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yep, there it is. The T. Baja Ben, you are going fishing on board the Liberty.
1 minute.
At a Fisherman's
1
Landing.
minute.
Congratulations.
All right. Well, thank you, Bob and Kristy. How do we get a hold of you?
Thank you so much for having us on. You can get a hold of us at 619-460-5615 or going to our website at dr like doctor insure.com.
All right. Thanks, Kristy and Bob. And keep going fishing, Bob.
And
We'll see
happy
you soon.
33rd
Yeah,
anniversary.
thank you very much. And thanks to JP for manning those busy phones. Thanks to Adam for all he does on the Let's Talk Hookup app. And thank you out there very much for joining us today. We'll be back next Saturday and Sunday. Next Saturday, Bodan and Brandon from Two Fish Jigs. We'll be talking some surface iron next Saturday. Next Sunday, Captain Dave Ibrahim from the Tomahawk will be here. A couple of great shows next Saturday and Sunday. Thanks for listening today. We'll see you next week right here on the Let's Talk Hookup app, the Sports Grid Radio Network, and 1090 AM and YouTube and Facebook. See you then. See you. Bye.
Good stuff, guys.
Nice job, buddy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. We'll